Well, this is red hot. This will explain to some people why their applications to cross borders during Australia's various lockdowns fell on deaf ears. Why families were robbed of seeing their loved ones. We've got some explanation tonight. A bombshell testimony was delivered late last week inside Western Australia's Public Service Appeals Board. Now, the board heard allegations that the McGowan government gave special preferential treatment for entry across its closed border to Labor's large political donors. Sanja Spasojevic, a former electorate staffer in the office of the state's Deputy Premier Roger Cook, claims her boss instructed her to fast-track entry applications submitted by the VIP members of Labor's Business Roundtable. The West Australian State Opposition wants these allegations investigated by the WA Corruption and Crime Commission. I spoke with Sanja this afternoon and started by asking her what her role was in 2020 when Western Australia's border was first shut.
So in the middle of March, I was discharged from hospital and I was working from home. And one of the tasks I was assigned to fast-track, the Labor Business Roundtable members and donors.
You would have had a large number of applicants attempting to get into WA, right?
I was not involved with the general processing of the G2G app. I was only given people that were Labor members from the Platinum, Gold and Silver, and we had what were called special contacts in ministerial office, and we were given a task to go to the special contacts, and it was for either them personally or for their family members for various reasons. Some were personal, some were business.
And they were categorised gold, silver, platinum, gold, silver, bronze, based on the amount of money they gave the Labor Party?
Yes, so there were categories of where the members or donors fit into the structure of the LBR system.
And what kind of applicants wanted entry? What kind of applicants are we talking about here?
So there were various applicants. There were people in regards to business, entry and exit of the WA state. It was all different various people. I can't recall exactly the names at the moment, and I probably shouldn't speak about the names, but I'm also not saying they did anything wrong, and I'm also not saying that the WA police were involved. I never spoke to them about the processing. This went to the special contacts in the ministerial office, which were positioned there for the LBR applications to be expedited.
So it would make sense to you that some of these VIPs, donors to the Labor Party, were gaining entry back into WA ahead of families trying to gain entry who probably had a deserving reason to enter West Australia.
Yes, so when this G2G application process started, this was right at the beginning, and at that time I was not aware, or the media had not at least spoken about any people being rejected at this time till July. The only person that was rejected that I know of that the media had spoken about was in June. I contacted Roger Cook to tell him my concerns about a system that was allowing political donors of Labor to enter and exit, and yet what was perceived to be maybe political opponents or people that were not desirable to enter the state or not refuse entry into the state. And that's when I thought this system is possibly being abused. It's not, it's not fit for purpose. That wasn't the actual purpose of the system. So I think when there are no constraints on power, that usually leads to abuse. And that was the first time that I actually had become aware that this system might be abused.
So you were objecting to the directions you were given. You were objecting to the system that was put in place. And what was the response from the Deputy Premier?
He kind of laughed and he said, because the person in question was Clive Palmer, and he said, basically, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a problem.
Sanja, who instructed you specifically to allow these VIP individuals to have their submissions approved?
Roger Cook was my direct employer at the time of nearly 10 years. So, yes.
Now, we should point out you are facing a case at the moment. You're appealing against a dismissal, which we can't talk about, but he dismissed you from the office, didn't he?
Yes.
But what you're telling me about the way this system operated entering Western Australia is entirely truthful.
Yes, I'm speaking honestly, and if there is an investigation into the matter, then I'm happy to forward all of my evidence that I have and speak openly about it if that is what is warranted and a further investigation takes place.
What else can you tell us about Roger Cook's treatment of you?
When I was dismissed on the 1st of July 2020. It was very sudden and it was a shock. And Roger has never spoken to me directly about the dismissal. So I don't know his involvement in this. I know I received a message that morning, and in the afternoon I'd received a phone call.
Since you delivered that evidence during the week, have you received any abuse or trolling at all from others associated with the Labor Party?
No.
Right.
No.
Where do you think your evidence on this entry system should go to from here?
I can't comment on that. That is up to our systems and our institutions and the judiciary, I suppose, to see whether this needs further investigating. That is not up to me. I will be open and transparent and give the evidence that I have. I will cooperate, but I can't comment on where this will go further.
Why did you feel the need to deliver that evidence during the week?
I actually was just answering honestly to a question about what my tasks were working from home. So this was not something. It's very hard to explain.
It wasn't planned.
Giving evidence and sorry.
It wasn't planned at all. It came from an answer that you gave to a question from those representing the government, right?
Yes, I answered the question that was given to me on what my tasks were during the March to July 2020 period when I worked from home.
We'll follow what happens with that evidence from here on in. There's a suggestion from the opposition it should go to the Corruption and Crime Commission, and we'll also follow your dismissal case too, Sanja. I thank you very much for coming onto the program tonight.
Thank you very much, Chris.